Okay, and we're back. March 5th, 2021.
Get your mouth up close to that mic, Matt.
I'm up close.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
So
up close.
we were talking, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're scrapping last week. We're doing a redo here. Matthew and I were just talking. He was just about to tell me, because we're going to do like an overview of the last year. It's March 2021. And Matt was about to tell me something. He said he remembers last year, Frank said to him, what?
All right, we're talking about my manager in my previous job that I worked at, and I just remembered that when we were mandated to wear masks, and I was not into it. And I didn't really realize that the whole world was going to be wearing masks. 'Cause now you can't go anywhere, at least here in California. You can't go anywhere.
In certain parts of California.
Sure, yeah. But, yeah, we're in the Bay Area, so if I go into a grocery store, I'm not going to be able to shop unless I wear one. But, no, I was just reflecting on, like, how much has changed within the last year. And, like,
That's a great lead-in. How much has changed in the last year? If we were to step into a time machine and go back 1 year, where it's March 5th, 2020, we heard the rumblings, we heard the story of this imminent danger that was spreading throughout China, spreading throughout especially Italy. They really focused on Italy. And they said, oh my God, all these people are dying because of this thing. And they pumped up the fear.
yeah.
They pumped up, in our country at least, through the mainstream media, they pumped up the fear. They went full throttle fear propaganda campaign on our ass. Did they not?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's still going on.
But yes, I agree. But then they're like, oh shit. And they just gave all these anecdotal stories of people are dropping like flies. Oh my God. There's, and they showed the pictures, and it was a perfect storm of propaganda that they nuked people's minds with, of the images, the stories, the still pictures. I'm a propaganda artist myself. I work with, video production. I work with film and editing and all these different things. And I can watch, I can do all the different things that they can. I can take a still picture and I can do the Ken Burns effect on it, and I can put a headline underneath it, and I can put sentimental music to it or whatever it needs to draw feelings out of humans. That is the whole art of propaganda. And they just nuked the fucking shit out of the American psyche with this. And they led it up, and they led up to this point. And then, sure enough, it's like they got to this whole point of the West Coast, of, first case of COVID in the Bay Area or in Seattle or in wherever, and now it's here, and what are you going to do? And they primed us for it, and they got everybody fearful. And then, of course, the, quote, political saviors stepped in, the governors or the politicians or whoever, and they said, all right, don't worry, here's what we're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. Main priority is to keep everybody safe, and so we're going to do this. And it was totalitarian shutdown. What do you recall, Matt? That's my recollection of a year ago.
I recall going to work and having all these new restrictions that I had to follow, which I thought was ridiculous, but...
Break it down.
Well, you have to wear a mask.
In the beginning, it wasn't that way. I mean, maybe for
No,
you it
no, it
was, but
wasn't.
for me as a consumer, I wasn't working in your line of work anymore, so it was like it's recommended. That's what they told us in the beginning. It's recommended that you do this, and a lot of people did it. Half the people did it. People like me, the other half did not. Because I'm
No,
like, well, okay, cool.
there was no mandates in the beginning. It was just let's all social distance, and then
Mhm.
there was like protective shielding that was put up, like
Was
plexiglass,
there a
and
limit of individuals that were allowed into the store at a
there
time?
there was, yes, but
We're talking like the very beginning.
yeah, the very beginning there was a mandated, there could only be a certain amount of people, but nobody was really following it at that point.
Nobody or your store.
Management, I would say management wasn't really they didn't seem concerned about it. It's like everyone can come in, but then like as time went on, then the rules got more stringent, and then it seemed like maybe management was a little more concerned that the city was going to come in, and they're making sure everything is running according to policy or the mandates that they're putting in place. So yeah, so then gradually it was like, oh, you have to wear a mask, and then there was people having to wait in line in the front of the store because, and we're talking about a health food store, just to give some context of what I'm talking about, like working at a grocery store. So people had to wait in lines, and then you could only let so many people in as so many people left, which I had that job. That was fun. Sarcasm. Um, there was just many more policies and procedures that you had to follow as time went on. And I don't know.
What was that like for you, Matt?
Well, considering I was already completely burnt out on that job as it was, having to deal with all these new restrictions was just painful and cringy. But I mean, I'm not saying that I want anyone to be in danger. I know that COVID is a real virus. People are getting sick. I'm not saying that I don't care for other people's safety, but the new mandates and policies just seem like over the top and ridiculous, and everyone's just kind of, when I say everyone, I guess I'm talking about management. It's like management is just going along with the flow. They're just going along with what they're told to do. Uh, You know,
Well,
whether
they have to. What would
sure,
happen to them if they stood against it?
yeah, they'd be shut down or fined,
Hmm.
probably fined
Yeah, so
thousands of
of course
dollars.
they're threatened to comply.
Yep, definitely. So there's not much you can do about it, but except quit, which I did eventually. So
And what was that like for you?
I mean, extremely liberating. I've been complaining about doing that job for years, so it was time to pull the trigger, so to speak, and leave.
Do you regret that?
No, not at all. No, absolutely not. Doing that job for so many years, it allowed me to pursue things that I was interested in, like school or certificate programs or internships, you know. Um, but it's not something that I wanted to do the rest of my life. So, now I'm done with school, and I'm done with the certification programs and all this and that. There's no reason to stay there. I was burnt out. It was time to go. So I did.
You milked that cow for everything it was.
Yeah, yeah, you could say that. That's a good way of putting it.
It gave you all the milk it could.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. It was a good company. Um, it was a lot better, in my opinion, before Amazon came along. But it is what it is. It's a big business, so you just have to go with the flow. You have to evolve with it. And if you don't agree with it, then you got to get out. And that's what I did. So,
Yeah, you either got to keep your mouth shut and accept it, or you go, well, I want to spend my life doing something else.
Yeah, that's it.
You made your decision, Matt. I made my decision. And, yeah, no.
It's pretty simple, but, now we can do things
And some
like
people
this,
are still
so-
there. And that's their decision.
Yeah. No matter what job you work, I don't care what it is that you're doing. You
Matt.
can walk out. You can walk out at any time. You can leave at any time.
You can walk. You can. You can quit
It's scary.
at a moment's notice.
People have bills. People have kids.
That's true. So you want to make a good decision, but nobody's holding a gun to your head.
No. No. So, whatever it is people do, whatever jobs they have, if you're not happy with it, you have to make the right decision. You got to go.
Okay, so in our case, we made that decision. Now you're a single dude. You don't have any kids. I'm a single dad. I do have a kid, but I put myself in a position where I put myself in the best position that I could to leave well, and it sounds like you did too. So let's keep going with this whole thing of like a year ago. I just want to give a summary, and then we can stop and we can get detailed on it if we want to. From a year ago till now, let's just kind of backtrack and look at everything. So this is what I recall. We had this, I already set it up for the whole COVID thing, and then we talked about COVID for a couple months. It's not we. The media talked to us about COVID, and they explained this bullshit. And they said, well, this is what it is, and this is how you need to feel about it, and this is, what's going on, and this is why everything has to be shut down. And of course there was a various response. At first everybody was like, okay, yeah, sure, it sounds bad, so let's just, chill. But as time went on, it was like, well, is it really as bad? People started to do something called thinking. And they started to ask questions. And they started to be like, well, it sounds like this. Like, you guys are painting it one way, but is it really like that? Because, I hear you, and I respect that. It could be that way. But let's gather more. Let's actually apply the scientific method of observation and data collection and asking questions and all the sort of productive ways of thinking and making progress in a civilized society, and applying logic and critical thinking and all these other different kinds of things, rather than just like be afraid and do as we say. And so there was this battle between this whole be afraid and do as we say versus like, I don't know. Well, you guys, are you God? Are you the supreme authority on this shit? And is it really as bad as you say it is? Well, maybe it isn't. Okay, I see that, it's dangerous, but life is dangerous. And there's all sorts of dangers in life. And there's all sorts of risks in life.
Getting in your car every day.
Yeah, so where does COVID fall within our spectrum of risks? Is it like the extreme highest thing because it took the forefront of the narrative, and they just pushed it, and they still are. And now it's to the point where, in my opinion, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, if you believe this shit, if you truly believe it, without considering all the data that we have collected from a year ago till now, you're really not, I hate to say this, everybody, but, and you can be mad at me, go ahead, but you're not thinking. You are not thinking at all. Matt, your thoughts? And that everybody, that is not an insult. That's just a analysis.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a lot of family members that are really concerned really concerned about it. And I'm not trying to discredit their concern,
I have that same issue.
but we have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. We have to look at it through a realistic lens. We have to look at all the facts. We have to look at the statistics. We have to really see, is it really as dangerous as what the mainstream media is portraying, or are we kind of being fooled? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. I think we're totally being fooled, but that's my opinion.
Not all of us.
No, for sure.
And, this is not a competition. See, I've been fooled. We've all been fooled. Everybody. And I think we brought this up before. It's like, what's worse? To admit that you've been fooled, or to deny that you've been fooled and to perpetuate a lie? It's far worse to do the latter, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be way better to just be like, oh, well, my bad. And then learn from it, because then you're way less likely to be fooled a second time if you're like, you kind of come at it like, oh man, I got hustled, well, I ain't gonna let that happen again, and then you get wise to it. So everybody, we've all been fooled. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but the truth is offensive. Okay, the truth is a challenge for us to grow. Everybody loves the truth when it works in their favor, but when the truth like jams you up and backs you into a corner, everybody wants to, they're like a mad little dog, they want to bark and jump and bite and all that kind of stuff. But look, we all get fooled from time to time. We all get deceived. And so the best way out of this is not to deny that it's a deception, but to look at it and to go and to truly examine it and to apply the mind that you've been given and to employ it to think critically. And as soon as you get into that position, you're in good shape, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
So we have to challenge each other from time to time. And so again, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. No, that's I care about you, I care about your feelings, but look, the truth by its nature will challenge us, because we're not all that. We're not as good as the truth. That's what makes the truth so great. It makes us great if we can, parallel ourselves with it and align ourselves with it and not, not be so damn lazy.
Yeah, I find the challenge is that people have egos, and people don't want their egos to be shattered.
We all do.
Yeah. Well, of course, we all do. We're all human beings. Mm-hmm. We all have egos. It's completely natural. But at the same time, there's people that they don't want to consider anything other than what they've been told through the mainstream. And that's where I get frustrated. I just want the best for people, but when I offer a differing viewpoint than what they've been told or what they think, it completely clashes with their view of life.
Yeah, their perception.
Yeah, and then they become defensive, and it just doesn't go over well. And then it starts into an argument, and then people are like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm instinct, but certain people are really open to looking at other perspectives, and other people are not at all, and they get real mad about it. So
what's the percentage?
I don't know.
Like, what percentage of people are open and willing to examine things? In your experience, what percentage of are open and what percentage are not?
I don't know. I don't know that I could put a percentage on it. I mean, maybe it's 50-50.
That's
Or-
pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like 2080.
I feel like if I can just have like a real conversation with someone and bring up, stats and statistics and just kind of level with people on like a real basis, then people will actually kind of like let down their guard and listen and maybe, consider things other than what they've been told.
Yeah. I think it might be an art form, too.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that most people you might be able to find that openness with people, but you have to find the right moment. There's some people that are just, no matter what you say, no matter how you go about it, they're not going to hear you at all. That's been my experience. But then there's the other people that are open and it's not so difficult. And then there's the other percentage of people, maybe people in the middle, which have varying degrees. And you have to kind of finagle your way to each person based on what worked for Joey might not work for Johnny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
So you have to really be intuitive, and you have to be aware of the person and read them and kind of know the moment, and you might be able to choose the right words where they might be open in that one moment that they wouldn't be in 10 other different moments.
Yeah, for
So
real.
My point is, I think it's an art form.
It definitely is an art form. Because certain people get really triggered. Certain people get really offended. And it could be an art form to try to kind of balance and choose your words wisely. Because if you don't, you might trigger someone, and then they're not going to listen to anything you have to say.
I think also what people aren't aware of, largely, is that we've been conditioned to be in this sort of position.
Yeah, definitely.
Where the whole conditioning is to flatter you. Not you, Matt, but flatter the populace. And through flattery, what they're saying to the general populace is, oh, no, you can't be fooled. It's all these other people that are crazy.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've actually never heard anyone put it that way. But that's so real.
It's like, you're too smart to fall for this shit.
Everyone else is crazy except you.
Yeah, it's not you, it's them.
That's such a great point. Yeah. Because no one wants to feel like the dumbass. No one wants to feel like, I'm the stupid kid in class.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
But not you.
No.
You're smart. Real smart guy. Or girl or whatever.
Yeah.
Forget them. They don't even have anything. Don't even bother listening to one word that comes out of their mouth. And before they've even listened to you,
they've already made up their mind.
They've judged you as not worthy of being listened to through flattery.
It's really frustrating. Because there's all those people, like family, friends, and even family that you're trying to get through to.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just labeled nuts.
Yeah. See, and this is what I stand in absolute respect of, is don't underestimate the deception. Don't underestimate the power, I should say, of the deception. Don't underestimate what I call the dark spell, the mind game.
The dark arts.
Yeah, the dark arts. These people are masters.
They really are. It's all a psychology game.
Yes.
Yeah.
They really are. And then as soon as there's some of us who like kind of go, wait a minute, I don't know. Nowadays, dude, they're not even trying. They're sloppy with it, and they don't even care.
No.
They don't even employ. And this is sad commentary on the general populace. They don't even try to deceive you hardly these days, because the general populace, in my observation, has been conditioned to just go along with whatever they're told.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
And so they don't even put much effort into it.
I think that's why so many people can see through the shit. I mean, if you really take a step back and look at it, it doesn't take much to see how the deception. It's unreal.
But I think the reason why people do believe it is because there's a critical mass, there's enough of a critical mass that are unquestioning, compliant, go with the flow. I heard somebody tell me a long time ago, and I agree with them, that most people take the path of least resistance.
Yeah. I mean, I do most of the time.
And it's
And
human nature. Again, this is part of the psychology. Is people will be like, well, I can either swim upstream or I can go with the flow.
You're right.
So the path of least resistance is like, let's just get in my inner tube and cruise.
Well, especially when you got a family to raise and
Oh yeah,
you got a job to go to and a mortgage to pay.
you got
It's
a lot of things that demand your attention.
Yeah, it's a lot
your
easier just to
energy.
go with the flow than to try to swim upstream.
Right. So I'm sympathetic to the average John or Mary or whoever you are. out there.
Karen. Just kidding.
Well, and then it's almost like this whole the way that our society is now is so media saturated. We're so preoccupied mentally, and we're in a state of and I think we talked about this before, but we're in a state of where we're not at our most mental sharpness, like when we come back home from work, and the first thing we do is we're beat, we're mentally dull, we've exerted a whole bunch of energy all day, and then we turn on the news when we're in a vulnerable mental state,
Yeah,
and they just mind bomb us.
Yeah.
So it's really. It's unfortunate because we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to believe anything that they tell us.
No, we don't. But so many people are conditioned just to do. They don't even think about it. You get home from work and you come home, you pop on the TV and you listen to the news and you're cooking dinner, you're playing with your kids, whatever it is. And people are just so conditioned that they just go along with it. It's almost like unconscious in a way. You're hearing the news in the background. It's like fear, 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 fear. COVID, 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 COVID. People are dying.
Yeah, here's the statistics.
Orange
blah, blah, blah.
tier, red tier.
Right. What does that
it's like,
mean?
I don't know.
Polka
don't
dot,
even know.
Polka dot tier.
They just make shit up, and then they, people just are fearful.
Okay, so I want to talk about this, Matt, but I also want to keep going on with our bigger theme of the overview of from 2020, from March 2020 till March 2021. So they did all this to us, and again, this is still the overarching narrative, this whole COVID thing. But it was on the coattails of an impeachment last year. And it was almost like they keep you, it's almost like, look over here, impeachment. And they just beat you over the head with that. And then they go, okay, well, now that that's done, look over here, COVID.
Right, it's
and
a
then
constant distraction.
And then they go, look over here, and there was an event, there was an event where this police officer knelt on the neck of this black man named George Floyd and killed him. And then there was this whole, oh my God, this whole
riots,
unfolding
BLM.
of a new thing. Look over here. It's all about, and it's like COVID took the back burner, and it was all about race,
division,
police brutality.
Yeah, defund the police.
All this whole, again, this outpouring of here's an issue, and they went with that for a long time, and then so now it's like it's almost like pancakes. You got a pancake here, and it's a big stack of pancakes, and they want you to eat the whole thing. So you got one pancake, and it's called this, and then another pancake called COVID, and another pancake or two or three called the whole, racial, injustice and all that and everything that comes along with it, and the whole interpretation of it, and the history behind it, and the how it's acting out in society. And then you have all these characters and all these organizations, and then you put another pancake back on it. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's another pancake of COVID. And then after that, it was like, this is what 2020 was for me. And it's like, after that, it's like, now it's back to the presidential thing. And then they went to, I don't even know what, dude, California was burning.
Yeah.
My God.
We were on fire.
Yeah, worst.
It's
the worst year ever.
Yeah, one thing after the other. You can never catch up because there's always something else going on that's going to distract you from the previous thing. So we just keep going. It's the media's fear program. I mean, I'm not saying that everything is like fake. I feel like a lot of it's manipulated and it's on purpose. And there's reasoning behind it. And I don't think that it's
like
a positive reasoning.
Yeah, well, let's hear your thoughts on what is the reasoning.
Well, I think, the mainstream media is owned by very few companies. And it has a certain narrative to push, which I pumped this a million times for a very long time. In other recordings that we've done, but there's a certain narrative that has to be pushed to achieve a certain agenda.
Yeah, basically they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And you can't expect them or ask them to report fairly because they're just not gonna.
It's not about journalism anymore, it's about propaganda.
Right. And so for us as viewers to tune into these people knowing this, and to go, why aren't you guys, telling the truth? Or why aren't you guys giving us a fair... Look, that's not their job. They don't have to. No, that's not what they're in the business of. They're not going to do it. And so we don't have to watch them. We don't have to watch them. We don't have to listen to them. We don't have to give them the time of day.
No, you don't. And a lot of people are tuning out. A lot of people are.
That is true.
So
that is very true. In fact, I saw Russell Brand did a piece not too long ago where he was talking about how the media, the ratings have dropped significantly since Trump's been out of the picture, and it's almost like Trump made them a lot of money. Even if they hated him, they had something to report. They had a character who was a. Like I think Russell Brand called him a demagogue, where you love him or you hate him, but he made you watch.
Yeah.
And he gave them something to talk about. And now he's not in the picture anymore. And what are they going to do now?
Talk about Biden? No.
Yeah,
Probably
about
not.
Yeah, well, and then also it's like the whole. I want to keep going with the whole overview bit because we built all the way up to. The election, and then there was the whole election controversy. There was the debate controversy. There was the whole, the first debate was not even a debate. It was retarded, in my opinion. And then the second debate, I guess, got postponed. And then there was a third debate, and then and in between the first and the third, apparently Trump got COVID, and then that kind of subsided, and then there was the election, and then there was all the fiasco of the election being legitimate or not, and then there was the whole thing on January 6th, where they call it what do they call it? The Capitol Hill insurgency or the Capitol Hill insurrection. Yes, thank you. And then next thing you know, you got the entire Washington D.C. not entire, but a large portion of Washington D.C. behind a fence with the National Guard troops there. and the inauguration of Joe Biden as the president with nobody there.
Yeah.
That is bizarre. That is 1 year, ladies and gentlemen, of events that is just a straight movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many questionable things that have gone on since, supposedly Joe Biden has taken office.
I'm
It's
just
like-
talking about since March last year till now. That is a
Yeah.
lot of drama.
I mean, it's distraction after distraction after distraction. There's one thing after the other. It's like as soon as
Is
we
it to-
kind of
Yeah.
get used to like one thing going
Mhm.
on and processing it, oh
Yeah.
no, now there's another thing. And it's like, oh my God, what's going on now? There's never a let up. We just keep going.
Is it manufactured, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a manufactured distraction?
I think so, yes.
I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah, that's what's kind of so frustrating about it.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here on Dare to Think, we're just practicing our freedom of speech. You don't have to agree with us. We're just glad that you're tuning in, and we're just there sharing our thoughts, and we're asking questions. And we're asking questions that maybe aren't being asked. And we're asking questions that maybe we need to ask ourselves or we need to ask each other. And, me and Matt, again, we don't agree on everything, but we're totally fine. In fact, Matt's a great friend. He cooked me dinner tonight.
Shabam.
And here's the beauty of it. You don't need, Matt, you don't have to agree with me on everything. I don't have to agree with you on everything, and I can still totally love you and accept you.
Yeah, it's completely fine not to agree with everyone.
I would even say it's somewhat healthy.
It is healthy because you don't want to be stuck in your own echo chamber, which I feel like a lot of the mainstream media channels are, is
Let's not just pick on them. Let's pick on big tech, too.
big tech. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. If you go on social media, because I know you're not really on social media, but
Not at all.
it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
on Facebook. That's mainly what I'm on. Facebook, Instagram. It's
Twitter is the other big one.
yeah, everyone's been banned off Twitter, so I don't really go on there. Everyone's been
They're-
censored.
You know what? Twitter has lost a lot of money, too. No, they're fine because they got billions and billions, but
Right.
there has been a significant loss of revenue from Twitter because people just bailed on them
Yeah,
because they knew it was bullshit.
there's all these alternate, social media sites now that you can go on and not be censored. It's more like free speech,
Like such as what?
like Parler or Gab or BitChute. So people can go on these other alternative sites and actually have like freedom of speech without being censored or deleted or
Canceled.
Yeah, canceled. Of course, these sites, I'm sure a lot of them are not like as technologically advanced as something like Facebook or Twitter, which has like millions and millions of dollars to invest into like programming and whatnot. But hey, I'll take the less advanced social media site in order to be able to talk about real things and have free speech and not be censored over the fancy Facebook.
Fascist.
Yeah, the fascist, the fascist fancy Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't.
Okay, so that
know.
I was proud of myself here because I was able to give an overview without getting lost down the tangents that I normally go down.
Yeah, it's a lot of info.
I just wanted to give a basic summary, and it's a lot to digest.
It is.
Because each one of those things, like you were saying, Matt, it's like just when we start to digest something, they throw us another curveball, and now we're off balance again. They're like, oh shit, can't let them get settled, can't let them get established, can't let them get their footing. We got to throw them a new curveball.
Yeah.
And now let that sort of curveball, let them just kind of fight amongst each other with that whole little new bomb, that new psychological bomb that they drop on us. And so all I did was just kind of list the sequence of the bombings in our brains. And then sometimes they're like, well, we haven't pulled out this card in a while. Let's just keep dropping that bomb on them. Now we're dealing with the whole vaccine crap.
It's the same playbook. It's always the same
if it ain't
playbook.
broke, don't fix
I
it.
mean, if you look, what's the saying? Like, history repeats itself. But everyone knows that saying, but nobody really follows it, or not many people follow it. Because you have so many people that get suckered into all this stuff that the Nazis were doing, like all this propaganda. It's like, oh, the Nazis murdered all these Jews and all these people and innocent people. Well, we were just following orders. The same people are doing the same thing these days. They're just like going along with the program without asking or really thinking about it or questioning things.
Right. Well, this is the trend of humanity. The general populace will take the path of least resistance, and that's why that's why you have terms like sheeple. They're not people, they're sheeple, because they're like
you just heard them.
Yeah, like a big group or cattle.
Yeah.
You can just corral them and you can guide them. And so there is also, and this is understood by the people who kind of rule, there is also a margin of the population that aren't that way. And they are stubbornly, they're kind of the opposition to the big threat.
That aren't going to go along with the program.
Right, and so then they have to be smeared and they have to be ostracized,
right.
Or if they can be, just straight eliminated.
Yeah.
So that is again the cycle of history, and so given that is the trend, someone might ask, well, what's the point? What's the point of even doing anything if the whole trend is that most people just go along with the flow? How would you answer that, Matt?
What's the trend and why most people go?
What's the point of resisting?
Because people want the truth. If people see through the lies, then they want the truth.
No, they don't, though. They don't, Matt. They get.
Well, I do.
They get. Okay, yes, you.
And there's a
My
bunch
point
of
is,
other people that want the truth.
That's right. So the big tug of war throughout history has been through the oppressors and those who believe that we don't need to be oppressed. And then there's the great majority of people that are going to go one way or the other. Do you understand?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like that is the true fight. The true fight is between the people who are thinking. One general group wants to rule, and the other general group doesn't want to be ruled. And then there's the massive group that's going to follow whoever wins.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, that's the story of America.
Yeah, well,
there was only a small group of individuals
during the Revolutionary War.
Yes,
Yeah.
that a very small group of individuals who knew that they were taking a massive risk.
Yeah.
But they believed in it, and they fought for it, and they won.
Yeah.
But they could have it could have very easily gone the other way. And there could have not been in America. And a lot of people benefited because those people took that risk.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, arguably, we could say this is the best nation on the planet ever. We have freedoms. They're constantly trying to be taken away, but I feel like that's what we're doing now is speaking up and trying to keep those freedoms and make the corruption aware to others who are not aware of it.
Who was it who said the pen is mightier than the sword?
Oh, Jefferson?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know the answer.
Garfield?
I know that quote, but I don't know the answer, or I don't know the person who actually said it. But the concept is, the pen is mightier than the sword, meaning
Information?
yes, and that's why I think that there's such a strong push for uh, over the minds of individuals. That's why it's like the Nazis they had a very polished propaganda machine, and that's why they were able to influence. They call it in warfare. They call it winning the hearts and minds.
If you tell a lie big enough and long enough, then eventually it becomes the truth.
Yeah, it's the whole big lie campaign.
Yeah.
But no, the Nazis were not. No, it's not like propaganda started with Nazi Germany. Propaganda's been as old as time.
Sure.
So my point is, the pen. I do believe with all my heart that the pen is mightier than the sword, because the pen can get into people's brains and get them to succumb to an idea.
You don't need to have violence. You don't need to. You don't need to fire any shots. You don't need to have a physical war if you can control people's minds.
Well, it is warfare. It's just a different type of warfare.
Yeah, it's a different type of warfare. Yeah, it's unconventional psychological warfare.
But it is a crucial and fundamental type of total warfare. Like there's the bombs, there's the physical bombs, there's the physical foot soldiers, but the psychological warfare is a fundamental and crucial aspect to the total aspect of warfare.
Yeah, and it might sound obvious. We can go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years and we didn't have the same kind of technology that we do today. And social media didn't exist back then. So now this is just a whole new or another means of manipulating the population.
Why do you think that we're the subject of the target?
What is the target?
Yeah, why are humans targeted?
Because we are the mass population on the planet. And there is a few trying to control the many, which I feel like is just a common theme of humanity on this planet. Where there's always a few elite, if you will, always trying to manipulate and control the masses or the many.
Yeah, why do you think so?
Because they want power, they want control, and you can't control the population through armies or through physical violence, because there's too many of us. Especially in a country like the United States, where we have the Second Amendment, and most people have guns and they can defend themselves. But so how do you do it? What do? You have to control people through psychological means. You use fear, you use the media, you use...
Oh, dude, it starts even earlier than that. It starts in elementary school. They dumb people down. They condition people to be a part of a society where you accept things, where you accept their rules, and you accept their the rules to their game. So they get you thinking that their authority, they are the authority. And that's why I think a lot of people watch the news and they go, well, the news said it, and therefore the news is an established authority. They've been conditioned to believe that.
I think that's a key point, is the term established authority.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to drill into people's heads. And most people can relate to that, is that, the news is an established authority.
Yeah, here's another key word. Reputable.
Yeah, there you go.
These people have a reputation. They're reputable and they're established authority. Dude, these are all just trigger words that I think are put into people's brains at an early age. You know what song I was thinking about earlier, either yesterday or today, was Pink Floyd's Brick in the Wall. You know, we don't need no education. Man, that song is metal.
When you listen back to it years later, you go, "Wow, I didn't really get the message then, but I do now." It becomes much more evident.
Well, the English got a very dark way of looking. I mean, Pink Floyd is a very dark band to begin with, and then the English in general they have a very dark and bleak outlook generally of life and stuff.
Dry sense of humor. Yeah, most of my family came here from England, actually. So I'm actually the firstborn this generation.
Don't get me wrong, I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite bands are from England. You know, Black Sabbath and,
for sure.
You know, it's Led Zeppelin and the Stones and, you know, all of them. But through art has a way of being another commentator on the world and on society. And, you know, real musicians are artists, and they are kind of saying, okay, well, the news people are not the only commentators to this play, you know. And you listen to artists through the medium of a powerful medium like music, and you can influence a whole mass of people.
Yeah, I think that's why so many musicians are censored
or assassinated.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a long list of, you know, these people who have either died from even in recent years, dude. I mean, I think of like Prince and David Bowie and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. Who else? These people who supposedly died. George Michael.
The singer for Linkin Park. And then
I don't know that guy.
Let's see. The guy who was the lead singer for Soundgarden.
Oh,
was
yeah.
It Chris?
Chris Cornell.
Yeah, Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Which I saw in concert, actually.
Or you have even like celebrities like Anthony Bourdain. You know, these people who supposedly committed suicide or died of heart attack or, drug overdose. I'm suspicious of the whole thing.
And then you find out that they were like writing a book on,
yeah, or maybe they were just talking too much, and they have a following. See, here's the thing: these people have a following. David Bowie, Prince. Think about that. Michael Jackson.
They're very influential.
Yeah, and so if you get if you can't silence them and they can't be silenced.
Then
you got to silence them,
gotta get rid of
period.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain, another one. And it's like nobody saw that coming, and it's like they go, well, that seems strange. I don't know why he would have done that. You know, now, okay, is it, let me be fair here.
Devil's advocate.
Maybe it is exactly how they are telling us it is. But let me tell you that these people who are telling you that it is this way, they got a long, long, long history of telling lies.
Yeah.
So maybe you should go, huh?
How credible are they?
Yeah, reputable, established authority. No.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care. See, here's the thing: is like this is what's so great is the truth doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you're, the Queen of England or if you're, some homeless guy living under a freeway. You either tell the truth or you don't. You know? So if the Queen lies, but the homeless guy under the freeway is telling the truth, it's like, who's got more authority? The truth has the authority, not the Queen of England if she's lying.
Well, the truth doesn't discriminate, right?
It doesn't. And that's the thing, is just like the truth. It's like, what is a greater authority? What is the perceived authority versus the real authentic authority?
Right. That's a great way to put it. What is the perceived authority? opposed to
Well, and that's why, I brought up the whole bit several podcasts ago about the Milgram experiments. Just because some dude is standing next to you in a lab coat with a clipboard, you're perceiving him as authority, but he's just a dude with a white coat holding a clipboard, commanding you. He has the appearance of authority, but he's commanding you to shock somebody. And it was astonishing to the people who were conducting this experiment what people were willing to go through based on their perception of authority.
Right. Yeah, it's scary. It's kind of scary.
Can't believe it. Well, it's the truth. You can hate it, everybody. You can hate the truth, but it's not going to change.
Yep, that is true.
We can either accept it and learn from it and by it, or we can learn. Basically, history will repeat itself.
It always does. It's the same playbook. And the more I research, the more I see that it's all the same thing.
Well, and
it blows me away that people don't see it.
Well, and then you become kind of almost like this prophetic voice, but you're not really a prophetic voice. You're just basically saying, hey, we've heard this song and dance before. It's going to happen again. And then when it does, everybody's like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
How are you some sort of prophet? No, it's just that we understand what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again unless we're aware of it. It will. It's like, it's almost like the seasons changing. It's like, oh shit, dude. After winter comes spring, and everybody's like, really? Yeah, and after that comes summer. Really?
Why is everything
How
blooming?
did you know that? You just kind of pay attention to the cycle of things, and then you know what to anticipate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's scary, but at least I have this podcast where I can talk about things and kind of vent, kind of discuss, and
Don't be scared, though, Matt. Be brave.
be brave. Be brave. Do something.
Be brave, and like in George Orwell's genius masterpiece of 1984, he said, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that book is loaded. I mean, it is.
It
just
is. He
loaded.
knew what was coming, and that's why he wrote the book.
Well, there's propaganda artists, and then there's anti-propaganda artists.
Right.
It's a battle between the two.
I would like to think we are anti-propaganda artists.
I would like to think that also, Matt.
Trying to expose those. Trying to manipulate those.
So, Matt, we can talk probably for another hour, but do you want to just summarize, or do you want to sum up this broadcast in the next couple minutes, or do you want to keep talking?
No, yeah, for sure. I would say, I think our theme was trying to understand what's gone on in the last year and trying to kind of like sum up like what's happened. A lot's happened, due to COVID and restrictions and people losing their jobs, and we have to wear a mask everywhere we go. And so we're just trying to sum up everything that's happened within the last year. And yeah.
Matt, is it real or is it imaginary?
It's I think it's real. I think COVID is a real virus. I think people have died, but I personally believe it is it's the flu. It's the cold. It's a common virus that was hyped up essentially in order to control.
I'm not fully. I'm not disagreeing with you completely. I kind of think we don't have complete information and data. Honestly,
no, for sure. I don't know if we ever will.
Right, and I agree. I think that, and in light of that, the best we can do is speculate. And so my speculation is, it could have been a bad flu, or it could have been a biological thing that they were hoping was going to be worse, but it really wasn't, and so they really had to turn up their propaganda machine on it and inflate it and make it seem like it was worse. And through that, they were able to achieve the same results as if it was some sort of catastrophic thing.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, some people speculate that this was kind of like a drill, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
this was just this was just a minor virus. But who knows? They could have released something that was actually really deadly, and everyone's dying in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, and see, now the question is, are they injecting people with the real virus?
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other
That's
other
next
topic.
week's podcast, probably.
I mean,
well, we're going to leave it like a cliffhanger, everybody. It's for you. You can just click to the next thing, but we're going to have to wait a week and then talk about it. But I think...
Is it a real virus if everyone's still being able to go to Costco, and Walmart, and Target?
Yeah. Well, and here in California, it's different. This is one of the strictest places in the nation. So we are, in a way, on the front lines of the limits. So it makes it more exciting to speak out against it.
Yeah. Well,
because we're actually living through the maybe if you're in other parts of the country where it's way more lax and you don't have to do all this crap, it's really not that bad, but it is severely different way of life than it was even just a year ago. Today.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have told me a year ago that everyone would be wearing masks, I don't think I would believe you. It's
not even that. It's not just we're all wearing masks. It's that, people's lives have been ruined.
Yeah.
People's businesses have been ruined.
Yep.
This affected the outcome of the presidential election. This has affected the attitude of society at large, where people are no longer shaking hands as freely. People, when you're walking down the street, they physically distance themselves, and it's all been...
I see it every day.
Yeah, and it's all been like this whole attitude of it's different now. There's this general elevation in fear. Not that it wasn't already high. It was. But now it's even higher. It's this whole anybody can make me sick. Anybody can kill me with this boogeyman thing. The boogie germ.
The 99% virus.
Yeah.
The 98.9% survival rate virus.
Yeah.
But we should all get
bad.
We should all get a shot and vaccinated, because who knows, we could die.
Well, I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but guess what? You are going to die.
We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
I could die tomorrow getting in my car and running errands. I hope I don't. But
we could die. We die. We could go to bed tonight and not wake up.
Yeah.
It happens.
That would be peaceful. I'd be okay.
Well, here's the thing. It happens. What do you want? This is what cracks me up, is like, you're not living in reality if you think like you're going to live through life risk-free.
No, life is risky.
No kidding.
Life is real risky.
But it's less here's the funny part about it. It's less risky now than it's probably ever been.
Yeah, that's very true.
That is the irony of the whole thing. Is like,
yeah.
Look, back even 100 years ago, there were more risks. That's not that long ago.
No.
And people
it's
were not living at this level of fear.
No, because the tools didn't exist to manipulate those.
That's true.
You know, so I mean, I'm just trying to see things clearly. That's all. I'm just trying to see things for what they are.
How dare you? How dare you,
I know.
Matthew?
How dare I
things?
challenge the narrative?
How dare you try to see things clearly?
Oh boy!
Oh my God!
Well, I don't know.
I love you, Matt.
That's me too, man. It's
And
another one of the books.
We love you all out there, and we just thank you for tuning in. And we're gonna keep talking to each other, and we're gonna hope that what we say gave you some sort of food for thought. And thanks for tuning in.
Dare to think. See you guys next time.
Boom.
Boom.